I really didn't want to do this, so if I disappear after this video, well, I think you'll know why. Everyone's been asking me about this. I can't believe I'm actually doing it, but this is 0-point energy. More specifically, this is nothing. Literally, a computer simulation of how nothing looks like. Just empty space, the simplest possible thing in our universe. And dozens of inventors have used this to build devices that seemingly create energy out of thin air. Machines that defy gravity, bend the fabric of space-time, levitate and fly with no visible propulsion, and generate virtually limitless energy with minimal to no input. But as soon as they patent and or publicize their inventions, they disappear. And at this point, there's a chance that I may too, because this is how that technology is said to work for entertainment purposes only. Warning, Philip is a professional mind blower. The topics discussed are not for the closed-minded. This simulation of nothing shows us that when we remove all matter, energy, and particles from any given area, what we're left with is the raw space field in which all matter exists. This is called the Higgs field and is governed by the laws of quantum mechanics. There's a principle in quantum mechanics called the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which states that nothing is allowed to sit perfectly still, even the field itself. So even with nothing there, according to this principle, this field is constantly rippling and fluctuating in a very complicated scientific way. These are called quantum vacuum fluctuations, a sea of quantum particles that briefly blink in and out of existence from the perspective of our dimension. Put it like this, imagine a two-dimensional being that exists on a sheet of paper, Johnny Flat. If I now lay my finger on the paper, he will perceive it in his dimension as a 2D cross-section of my fingertip, basically a circle. If I lift my finger and put it down on another part of that paper, from the perspective of Johnny Flat, that circle disappeared from existence and reappeared somewhere else. Impossible from the paradigm of his reality, because I lifted my finger into the third dimension to do so, which he doesn't have access to. This is one theory of what those quantum fluctuations might be, just in higher dimensions above the three-dimensional reality we exist in, if that made any sense. Think of it as four-dimensional space dust briefly passing through our three-dimensional world. And when these quantum particles do pop in and out of existence, they create energy, which was proven in 1997 with the Casimir effect, which exerted a measurable force on two closely spaced metal plates through these quantum fluctuations. 0-point energy harnesses these fluctuations and converts them into a usable energy source. Meaning empty space isn't really empty or still at all, but is actually brimming with energy. According to Hal Puthoff, a leading researcher in this field, when you crunch the numbers, we find out there's enough energy, the volume of space the size of a coffee cup, to evaporate all of the world's oceans. Energy that is not only free and virtually unlimited, but insanely powerful as well. And you'll notice that whoever advocates this type of energy is quickly labeled a fraud, a pseudoscientist, or just a wacky, evil person to discredit their claims. Well, that's because in today's society, energy is also money, dominating the biggest industries of our modern world. Energy companies, oil, coal, gas, nuclear, our entire civilization runs on the grid and relies on these expensive resources to provide us with the energy that powers everyday life. Free or wildly cheap energy that's readily available to everyone and also kinda unlimited would topple these energy empires and, to be fair, likely our entire economic system as well. So naturally, it is in the best financial interest of these trillion-dollar energy conglomerates to try to suppress 0-point energy technology if it does exist. And of course, their budget to do so is essentially unlimited, so it's exactly what they've been doing for as long as we can remember. Because whenever an inventor creates something that they think will bring great value to the world, they do something called file a patent, which is a system that offers inventors a temporary monopoly on their invention in exchange for sharing it with the world. In theory, a very mutually beneficial agreement. Society gains an invention that advances us, and the inventor makes a lot of money and gains recognition. The idea of patents was created in 1474 in Venice to encourage innovation when they enacted the Venetian Patent Statute. But in 1951, the US passed the Invention Secrecy Act, allowing them to keep certain technologies and inventions a secret legally. If they determine an invention to be detrimental to society, they can classify it, and their inventors are bound by law to not talk about it. Now, if a big company can't lobby a reason to invoke this act on a patent that happens to be detrimental to their wallet, they can simply offer the inventor a lot of money to outright buy the rights to their technology patent and just never put it to use. This practice is known as black shelving, buying patents for the purpose of never putting them to use. And if inventors refuse that, there are other ways to make sure their technology technology never gets out there, as there are countless cases of this happening, especially when it comes to anything involving cheap, accessible energy. Like the time this guy, Stanley Meyer, invented a car that can run purely on water. And it was all over the news, using a process known as electrolysis, which used electricity to split water molecules, H2O, into oxygen and hydrogen gas, using the hydrogen gas to power the engine, which we know is real. We have hydrogen cars today, although they don't run on water, but rather hydrogen gas pumped directly into the engine, which is expensive and not very accessible. Meyer called his invention a water fuel cell injector, and it was so impressive that scientists and engineers around the country inspected it and confirmed his technology works. In 1998, Stanley was signing a multi-million-dollar deal with investors at a restaurant when all of a sudden he felt incredibly sick, ran into the street, and started throwing up. He died shortly after, with his final words being, "They poisoned me," but his death certificate hid that, and they made up a story about a brain aneurysm. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to notice that this is a very inconvenient pattern among inventors of this type of technology, because Stanley was quite the inventor, one of which included an electromagnetic toroid-shaped device that was hit with a national security order, a torus that emits a toroidal energy field, essentially an energy donut, or a rodent coil, another controversial topic of many online free energy theories. A device that harnesses the unique properties of toroidal fields to create energy through a system called vortex-based mathematics, a 9-digit pattern that's also the foundation of that whole 369 thing that Nikola Tesla claimed to hold the key to understanding the universe, that appears to create energy in a closed system with near 100% efficiency, breaking the first 2 laws of thermodynamics, the thought of which makes physicists cry who insist it's physically impossible. But this concept was replicated in tests like mathematicians Marco Rodin's rodent coil and Victor Schoberger's vortex machine. Even NASA briefly experimented with an engine called the M-Drive, which used similar principles to produce energy and was quickly deemed pseudoscience and shut down. Now, Stanley Meyer's device didn't run on gas, electricity, or even water. It ran on nothing. Exactly where we find those quantum vacuum fluctuations, zero-point energy. Drawing energy from the zero-point field, Nikola Tesla and other scientists of our past called this field the ether, a layer beyond our dimension that we can't exactly see but can still interact with, exactly what quantum mechanics is slowly beginning to prove. Ether was even officially listed as a 5th element in our education systems for centuries, and is also how the rumored Tartarian Empire, the Egyptians, Atlantis, and other advanced ancient cultures of our past are said to have drawn energy from the sky by extracting it from the ether that exists all around us, the zero-point energy field. But by the 1920s, scientists were forced to reject the notion of ether, conforming to the regular 4 elements as we know today. As we know, Tesla himself even tried experimenting with and bringing this technology into the modern world, but was also silenced from doing so. Working models for free energy machines have been proposed and suppressed countless times for centuries. Nope, that's 100% false. My 5-second Google search told me so, and we're not allowed to question. A machine that gives out more energy than what is put into it is called an over-unity device, which mainstream science will insist is impossible. And viral videos like these are fake. There's dozens of them out there, and there's always a battery hidden somewhere to trick you. But all that videos like this do are discredit the real free energy machines being hidden from us, because they kinda do exist. Their inventors just tend to disappear after revealing them to the public. Just like in the 1970s, when inventor Howard Johnson created something called the magnetron motor, which used hydrogen, light rays, and magnets to create electricity seemingly out of thin air. And it worked, which he proved in tests over and over again, even though on paper it was deemed physically impossible. A borderline miraculous, world-changing invention, yet he was denied a patent for his motor and mocked by his peers. Then at some point, someone mysteriously breaks into his shop, steals his equipment, and out of fear, Howard stops working on the project. You're gonna notice a pattern here. Electrical engineer Thomas Morey also created a device, this time using the zero-point field. Quantum particles that fluctuate in and out of existence in the empty space that exists around us, creating energy in the process. Morey's device generated 50,000 watts of power with no input. He even displayed it for the public in 1940, continuously producing 250,000 volts with zero input. He tried to patent it and was denied, even though his machine worked. Soon after, his lab was broken into and he survived many assassination attempts with his family. Eventually, one of his assistants randomly turned on him and destroyed all of his work. On record, they say his assistant just went crazy, but some think there were certain powers at play who did not want to see this technology spread. Edwin Gray, another inventor, created an electromagnetic motor that ran on its own power and generated no heat, with an input of 27 watts and an output of over 7,000, which was tested and validated by many scientists. When one day, out of nowhere, regulators raided his lab and confiscated everything. Shortly after, Gray is found dead in his home with no explanation and all of his research gone. Then there's this guy, Floyd Sparky Sweet, who also made a device that can extract energy from the vacuum of space in the 1980s, the zero-point field. Called the Vacuum Triode Amplifier, VTA, he fed it 0.3 milliwatts of power and generated over 224,000 watts, enough to power your entire home. Another zero-point energy device, but it could do more than just produce energy. It could also levitate, completely defying our known understanding of physics. A nuclear physicist named Tom Bearden even met with Sparky and performed many anti-gravity experiments with it. According to Bearden, gravity could become a pushing force using the zero-point field, and this VTA proved that it worked. So Sparky files a patent for his invention, and can you guess what happens next? One day, a man in a suit comes up to Sparky, shows him a photo of him and his wife in their home, and tells him to stop his research. Eventually, someone broke into his lab, steals all his notes, and soon after, Sparky collapses and dies of a heart attack. The FBI quickly confiscate all his research tools and devices, never to be seen again. But his research was actually based on experiments performed decades earlier. Enter T. Townsend Brown, who experimented with high voltage and electromagnetic fields to create an anti-gravitational lift effect in the 1920s, allowing objects to move at high speeds without being affected by gravity, exactly how UFOs are reported to maneuver in our skies today, said to be powered by zero-point energy, harnessing the zero-point field to create wildly efficient engines that can manipulate space-time for levitation and even faster than light travel.
No, we can't talk about that. That's misinformation, and we need to silence.
Governments actually used to be very open about experimenting with anti-gravity in the 50s. They talked about it all the time. Many newspapers and media reported on it frequently, and the research was public knowledge, known as G-engines. Young Men magazine even once featured the headline, "The G-engines are coming, future aircraft that attain the speed of light," in 1956. But it's almost like as soon as they figured it out, they stopped reporting on it, perhaps realizing how powerful it really is, and the military wanted it all for themselves. People say many, if not most, of the UAPs in our skies today are actually just that, highly classified military projects, conducted by the likes of Lockheed Skunk Works, a highly secretive aerospace R&D division, who reverse-engineered crashed alien spacecraft to replicate their technology in ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles, highly advanced spacecraft created here on Earth by humans in top-secret research programs as exposed by Bob Lazar and many others. Did these extraterrestrial craft make use of the same zero-point technology that inventors have been silenced from revealing to the world? Discovering that the unique manipulation of the zero-point field can actually accelerate objects in ways that our conventional physics deems impossible. Independent researchers have tried to explore this field time and time again just for them to go through the same disappearing act as everyone else, like Dr. Ning Li, who started an anti-gravity research company, AC Gravity, publishing many papers on it in the 1990s. The US government Department of Defense caught interest, issuing her a $400,000 grant in 2001 to fund her work. Then she disappeared for 13 years, reappeared again in 2014, and was immediately hit by a car, suffering permanent brain damage. These stories are all real, you can search them up yourself. And the list is endless. There are just too many incidents like these that would take too long to cover in just one video. Now, of course, Google will tell you these inventors were nothing but con men, liars, frauds, or just scientists with great ideas who didn't know any better. It will also tell you zero-point energy is impossible, and anyone who stands up for it or even talks about it is attacked or shamed for spreading misinformation. Google debunkers, compliant NPCs who believe they can irrefutably debunk any extreme claim with a 5-second Google search, truly are the downfall of society. The modern-day version of Vladimir Lenin's useful idiot. Google debunkers. Love you guys. The idea of free, clean, and unlimited energy is a concept that's just too good to be true. And if you throw in anti-gravity levitation, defying the laws of physics, space-time manipulation, potentially faster than light travel, now you're flying too close to the sun, and our modern economy has been intentionally designed in such a way that will burn the wings off anyone who does.
Ha! You smooth brains make me cringe. Why would anyone ever want to hide technological breakthroughs like these?
Listen, the richest companies in the world are oil and energy companies. That's a fact. They have virtually infinite money, and inventions like these would decimate their empires and the power they hold over society today. Their limitless funding allows them to do whatever they can to keep these technologies hidden if they wanted to, suppressing technology which inadvertently ends up slowing society down, increasing pollution, poverty, making energy less accessible, not progressing us into exploring the universe. Also, their trillion-dollar conglomerates can stay in business.
But the science. We need to trust the science. That's all that matters to me.
Ah, yes, the science, the wonderful byproduct of our totally objective, non-biased unbiased education system that need not be questioned. But do you want to know a little fun fact? So, one of the first mega successful oil suppliers in the world was a company called Standard Oil, which was founded in 1882 by this guy right here, John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men of all time. Then in 1902, the General Education Board, GEB, is founded, devoted to the cause of improving education throughout the United States, and sorta laid the foundation and shaped our modern day education system today. The GEB was directly funded by John D. Rockefeller, the multi-billionaire who would have no reason whatsoever to condemn any technology that was detrimental to his oil business, which went on to educate the country by telling us what is true and what isn't through the programs they put in place. In 1973, Standard Oil was renamed to Exxon, one of the biggest oil conglomerates in the world. And technology that opposes their empires is still getting silenced to this day. In 2010, the Federation of American Scientists revealed that over 5,000 inventions were hit with a secrecy order in that year alone. Many of them had to do with anti-gravity, clean energy, and alternate propulsion methods like zero-point energy. And this isn't even a secret. In the 1970s, a declassified document called Patent Security Category Review List rubbed it in our faces, listing all categories of inventions that are classified as secret by law. Item 9 of those categories explicitly states energy conversion systems with conversion efficiencies in excess of 70 to 80%, outright telling us they do not allow technology that produces engines that are too efficient. But these patents aren't all hidden. Aerospace engineer Dr. Salvatore Pace actually has multiple patents that suspiciously sound like zero-point energy, unlimited clean energy using quantum fluctuations, faster than light travel, anti-gravity manipulation, he's got it all. He himself even claiming to have technology that can engineer reality. And why haven't his patents been suppressed? Because they are officially owned by the US Navy, who keep the details classified and only for themselves. Which many people insist this is the technology we've been seeing flying in our skies as UAPs, undercover American projects.
You're not allowed to talk like that. You present your theories as if they are fact.
So we're kind of trapped in this never-ending cycle of genius inventor comes up with reality-changing zero-point technology. They understandably want recognition and compensation for their tech, so they patent it only to have it black-shelved, poached by the government, or they coincidentally have an accident and disappear. There is a solution here, but the inventors aren't gonna like it. Don't patent it, but rather release your technology to the world open source so everyone can be free to use it. And we can hopefully one day be free from the tyrannical grip of the oil and gas industrial complex once and for all. But the question remains, who, if there ever will be, the one to do that?